I just went on a first date. Honestly, it was terrible. It stunk. Literally. I match with a lady on a dating app, and I see this lady looking very cute in her sundress, holding her dog in the photo. And I see her prompt on her profile, and it says, "Tell me about the last show that you watched." And I responded, "MasterChef! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point." She responded saying, "Don't judge me, but I've never seen MasterChef before." And now, I thought in my head, ha 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 ha, great joke, lady, you're so funny. Who hasn't seen MasterChef before? Then she says, "No, I genuinely have never seen it before." And I'm thinking, haha, is it too late to unmatch now? All jokes aside, I said, let's change that. I asked for her number and we started texting. We've been texting for a couple of days back and forth saying, "Hey, what are you doing today? How was your day? How was your week? What are you having for dinner? What are you having for lunch? Oh, you're having snack right now? That's crazy. Me too." I cut the small chat and I said, "Hey, let me take you out for dinner. Let's grab Mexican food. I'll pick you up at 7 o'clock so that we can get to the restaurant by 7:30. She said, "Perfect." Picked her up. She was looking very lovely, very nice. And we went to the restaurant and I got tacos. She got a burrito and we're just having a great time. When she's a few bites into her burrito, she goes, "Can I just excuse myself for a second? I'm going to go use the restroom real quick." I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Do your thing. See you in a bit." No problem. So she comes back from the bathroom and says, "What did I miss?" And I said, "Only the whole entire synopsis of MasterChef. You missed it. Sorry." Then she goes, "Okay, well, I guess we'll have to watch it sometime." And then I asked her, "What shows do you watch, lady?" And she says, "I am more of a Bachelorette person. I've been keeping up with the show for a while now, and it's my favorite thing before bed." And I was like, "Oh, wow, how cool, lady." So I said, "How about this? Let's watch an episode of MasterChef, and if you don't like MasterChef, we'll watch an episode of The Bachelorette. Deal?" She said, "Can we have popcorn?" I said, "Yes." Then she said, "Deal." So I invited her over to my place. I started making the popcorn, and then we sat down in the living room on the couch. She kept making twists and turns in the couch to get comfortable, which is totally fine. But when she moved, she was making a noise that I was unfamiliar with. Like, my couch is fully functional, but she was making some strange noises when she was moving. So I was like, "Are you good, lady?" I was like, yeah, I'm totally good. Just getting comfortable. "How long have you had this couch, by the way? It's kind of springy." And I'm like, "Springy? I've only had it for a couple of years. I don't get why it's springy." And then it all starts to click. Her moving around started to emit an odor. She was farting in my couch and kept moving to disguise the sound of blaming it on my couch on her flatulence. The smell was so foul, that I almost passed out from how bad it was. I was like, "Lady, you need to control yourself. Do you need to use the bathroom?" And I literally asked her and I was like, "Are you all right? Do you need to use the restroom? Is everything okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I think the Mexican food really did a number on me. Can I use your bathroom really quick?" I was like, "Yeah, go for it. It's all yours. Have fun." I go prep the popcorn. I'm getting ready for our show watching. I'm on the couch. I opened up the Tubi app and she comes out of the bathroom, comes over to me, and she says, "What's Tubi, bro? 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 You calling me bro?" So I said, "What's Tubi, bro?" There are over 75 million monthly viewers on Tubi. How do you not know what Tubi is? He goes, "I haven't really heard of Tubi, but whatever works." I said, "Tubi is more popular than the number of bad dates that happen every month." She goes, "Are you saying that this is a bad date? Do you think that we're on a bad date right now? Why would you say something like that?" I said, Well, I just think that there's something in the air. She did not like that. He was like, that is so rude. You were so disrespectful. I'm going to go home. I'm calling an Uber. I said, lady, I just wanted to be transparent and honest with you. There is nothing wrong with farting, but I would like a notice at least, please. So I just wanted to be transparent. The least I could do is offer you a ride home and take you home safely. She said, fine. The entire car ride was dead silent. Dead silent. So now that I'm back home, I probably won't be seeing or hearing from her again, but boy, did she blow me away.
Strap in, y'all, because this update is a roller coaster. I needed a day to process my emotions after this whole situation, but I think I'm okay now, so here we are. Okay, so from the jump of first meeting this man, I felt so comfortable around him, and I was way more bold than my usual self. So I texted him after my last activity that day, and I was like, hey, handsome, I just got done with everything. I have a couple errands to run, and then I'm gonna go get ready for you. Ladies, those last 2 words are key. Add for you at the end of your text message next time, and watch how men react. I don't think I've ever done that before, but I will be doing it from now on. Anyway, I get ready, he comes to pick me up. When I walk outside, this man is standing next to his car in the middle of the street. He's all dressed up. He's got the door open, and the look on his face when I walk through that door, he might as well have been looking at me coming down the aisle. So I go say hi to him. I give him a hug, and I don't know how to explain this. Like, this felt like I was on a date with somebody that I had been dating for 10 years. It felt natural to kiss him right then and there. And he actually leaned in for a kiss. I didn't, obviously. I just kind of pushed him away and then got in the car, and we both laughed and we drove to the restaurant. As we were driving to this restaurant, it feels so natural for me to like lean over, put my arm on him, which I held back because I was like, okay, this is crazy. Like, I never feel like this. So I'm like, let me chill until we at least get done with dinner. We walk up to the restaurant. We are smiling. We're laughing. He's got his arm around me. We sit down at the table. He tells the waitress how excited he is to be here and that it's our first date, and the waitress is like, wow, I would have never guessed. Like, you guys seem like you've known each other for years. And both of us were like, yeah, I know, we feel like that too. After the first course, I was like, you feel so far away, come sit next to me. So he gets up, he comes and sits next to me at the table. At this point, we are enamored. He is, from head to toe, everything I have been looking for in a man, and he said he feels the same way about me in a woman. I have never felt this comfortable around somebody. I have never had so much fun with somebody. There was no awkward moments. We were on the same page about like everything in life. I'm like, oh my gosh, this cannot get any better. So now he's sitting next to me. We are all cuddled up in this restaurant, and he looks at me and we kiss, which I never do. I never do on a first date ever. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm done. This is it. The waitress brings us out some free food because she was like, y'all are just so cute. Like, I've loved serving you tonight. And I'm like, wow, even other people can see this energy. So dinner's over. He takes me back home, and we're like holding hands in the car. I've got my arm on him. We get to my house, and we both just sit in front of the door. And I'm like, I don't want to go home. And he's like, I don't want you to go home either. Mind you, it's like 1 a.m. at this point. I still have my flight. I still haven't packed I need to leave my house at 5 a.m. for this flight. But I am like, I am in love. I don't care. Like, where are we going? We end up driving around LA, laughing, talking. We go to a scenic overlook and just sit there and talk. We had gotten out the car. It was freezing, but like neither one of us cared. It was just, I don't even know how to describe how amazing it was. He looks at me and he's like, this is gonna sound insane because I just met you, but I am falling for you. And I was like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I did not want to leave him. I have never felt like that on meeting somebody. I didn't even want to go on this trip anymore. Like, I just wanted to stay with him. But I really need to go because I still need to pack for my trip. So he takes me back to my place. We're sitting in front of my house. And for those of you that were coming for me, like, he said he's not ready to date. I didn't forget about that. So I told him, I said, I had an amazing time with you tonight, but I'm going to fall back a little until you sort everything out and feel like you're in a place where you can take this seriously because I really like you. He was like, yeah, I wasn't expecting to feel this way about you, but like, thank you, I'll handle that and we can keep getting to know each other. So at this point, we are in love. He is looking at me like I am his wife. Like, all that was missing was just fireworks and the movie soundtrack. I'm already thinking about how excited I am to see him again. And before I get out of the car, I turn to him and I'm like, wait, I never asked you. You don't have kids, do you? He looks at me. I'm literally like shaking right now, reliving this, but he goes, yeah, I have a daughter. My heart dropped to the pit of my stomach. It's always been a deal breaker for me. And I just stared at him and I saw all of the light leave his eyes when I looked at him like this. We talked about it for like 2 minutes and then we just sat in silence for like 5 minutes, and then I just got out of the car and went inside. I literally started crying, so now I feel insane because why am I crying over a man that I didn't even know existed 8 hours ago? He calls me, he is like audibly upset as well, and we're both sitting there like, Are we insane? Like, why? Why do we really feel like we are going through a breakup right now? But yeah, y'all, I had a whole relationship in one day from inception to termination, and I am not okay. So I cannot do this anymore. I am retiring from dating. I always ask my deal breakers right away, and I cannot believe I forgot to ask him that. So yeah, it was literally a movie from start to finish, good and bad. So please always ask your deal breaker questions so you don't end up in my situation, because that whole experience is really messing with my head.
Ladies, if your man's not doing these 3 things on a first date, there should not be another date. There should not be a second. We're leaving those crappy below minimum men in 2023. The first, and this is important, he must confirm the date with plans at least the day before or the morning of. And this is why. The last thing we want is you to have to get ready not knowing where you're going or not knowing if it's even going to happen. Like, imagine getting ready and then 8 o'clock you get oh, sorry, are we still on for tonight? Oh, sorry, I completely forgot. Can we reschedule? It's like, no, you can't reschedule. I just spent 2 hours getting ready. That's right. He must confirm and with details so you know what to expect. Not just like, unless it's a surprise. Then, okay, that works. But he must confirm the day of. Number 2, he must ask questions about you and your life and what you're doing and what your hobbies are and what your interests are. And I know this sounds so obvious, but the purpose of a first date is to get to know one another. How do you get to know one another? You talk, you ask questions, you have good conversation. Good conversation is usually a back and forth about questions, good storytelling, telling about each other's lives and stuff like that. If he's only talking about himself, 1, it's a selfish asshole. 2, he doesn't care to get to know you. He's probably just there to little smash and dash kind of thing, right? So make sure the conversation's good. He asks lots of questions and it's good dialogue. And honestly, you should ask questions back because it's the nice, polite thing to do. 3, and this is the cherry on top. This is the icing on the cake. If he does this, and you had a good 1 and 2, there should definitely be a second date. He must offer to get you home at some point. Either call you an Uber, drive you home, walk you home, or whatever. He's got to offer it. Some women might not say yes because, privacy, maybe you don't want the guy knowing where you live, and I completely understand that's fine, but he's got to offer. Let's say you go back to his house. Hey, can I Uber you home? If you're drinking, can't drive you home. Or, hey, can I walk you home? Or, hey, make sure you get home safe, stuff like that. But he needs to follow up to make sure you got home, to get you home, to make sure that you don't get mugged on the way home. Whatever it is, he's got to do that. And to be honest, this is the bare minimum. The bar's been set so low for men lately that this is literally the bare minimum. But if he does these 3 things, there's a good chance you've got a decent one. I'm not saying he's a great one, but he deserves a second date. He deserves a second date if he does these ones. And probably most of you are like, Ricky, what the hell are you doing giving advice? You've been single for so long. And you're right, I have. But majority of the dates I go on, usually we go on a second date or a third date, sometimes a 4th date. Usually we get along, and I try and do these 3 things because I think it's important. I'll always confirm because I want to make sure the person's still on for me as well. If I don't have a date, I want to make sure I can make other plans. And if I'm going to take someone out, I want to get to know them. I want to ask them every single thing about their lives, literally every single thing. And then I was just raised to make sure people get home safe. So, ladies, again, remember.
I want to tell you about the worst date I've ever been on that makes me understand why people don't like dinner dates. I matched with this guy on Hinge. He was a Lebanese guy. I'm also Lebanese, and I can tell you that all of the worst dates I have ever been on in my life have been with Lebanese men, and it started with this guy. We chatted for a bit in the app. I don't remember what we talked about. I mean, this was 3 or 4 years ago at this point, but it must have been nice because I agreed to go out to dinner with him, and he's the one who asked me out. We went to one of my favorite restaurants. It's this low-key Italian spot near me. I go up to him and say hi, and from the moment I start talking to him, it's like he's mad at me. I'm like, hi, and he's like, hi. And that was literally his vibe the whole night. The vibe was basically we were a couple that's been dating for 3 or 4 years and we were having a fight. All of his responses are 1-word answers. He's not making any effort to have conversation with me. It's just he doesn't care to be there. It was the vibe was I forced him to come out to dinner with me when he really didn't want to. It was so weird. Luckily, the service was super fast. We get the check in under an hour. He goes, oh, do you want to go out to a bar and grab a drink after this? I was like, is this guy crazy? Does this guy just think that this is a good date? I was like, no. I was like, I want to go home. Like, I'm tired. Like, I couldn't believe that he thought he could ask me out for a drink after that. And he was like, really? Like, you want to go home? It's only 8 p.m. I was like, yeah, I'm tired and I want to go home. He insists on walking me to my car. I get in the car. I barely hug him goodbye. I mean, I was so pissed at this point. I get home. I've been out of the house for less than an hour and a half. As soon as I get home, he sends me a message on WhatsApp that's like, oh, is it really bad that I wanted to kiss you when I walked you to the car? Blech. I responded, I said, did you think that went well? He acted all confused. I explained to him how he was behaving. He sends me a message this fucking long talking about like, oh, I'm so sorry. I got a message from my boss. He wants a meeting tomorrow. And like, I really think that I'm going to get fired. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry you're going through that. But if you're incapable of setting that aside and being polite and pleasant on a first date with a woman, then you should stay home. Like, if you're incapable of doing that, you need to stay home. You should have rescheduled the date. And then he starts dumping all of his professional baggage on me, talking about work. And I'm like, this is just not okay. I don't know you. I'm not your girlfriend. Eventually, I end the conversation. The next day, I get a message unprompted from him that just says, I got fired. I did not respond. At the end of the day, I had gone on Instagram to make sure I had unfollowed him, and he blocked me. So...
Alright, so what would someone who was seemingly so into you and maybe even literally begging you to go out on a first date or maybe even initiated a second date all of a sudden become too busy? What kind of a game they're playing? Well, let me tell you something that I know a lot of you don't want to hear and even less of you want to accept. But dating, the whole point of dating is to get to know one another. See, before you go out on a first date, maybe there's a level of attraction there that drives that initial interest. Right? But the whole point of dating is to get to know one another and see whether or not we want to continue investing in that potential relationship. And sometimes it will be so and we would want to continue, but sometimes we won't. And yeah, maybe they could have come out and told you that they're not interested instead of saying that they were busy, but do you really want to hear the truth? Do you really want someone to tell you that they thought you were cute, but then found out that you were really boring to have a conversation with? Or maybe that there is another person that they're more interested in than you? No. So instead of waiting for them to tell you something that you already know, just move on.
If you've had a worst first date, let me know in the comments. But I'm going to tell you guys my worst first date that happened tonight. Let's talk about it. So this woman decides to call me at 8:30 p.m. asking to go to dinner. Since it is 8:30, I've already eaten dinner, but she proceeds to go, please go to dinner with me. I know you've eaten, but just go with me. I'm at home chilling, doing nothing, so I'm like, oh, sure, let's go out, let's have a good time. When she gets in the car, she proceeds to tell me that she can't hang out for long because she's going to go to a bar and hang out with some other friends. So now, this feels like a let me call up some sucker to buy me dinner so I can have a full stomach to go hang out with other dudes. Hell no. This is her idea. She wanted to go here, she wanted to eat here. I order a little appetizer, and then she orders a whole meal. She takes like 5 or 6 bites out of her food and goes, okay, I'm full, let's get the check. So when the check comes, I'm hoping she would have some courtesy, and since this is her idea, and since she asked me out, she would at least pay her tab. After about 2-3 minutes, she never grabs her wallet, so I go, hey, am I paying for all of this, or you want to go 50-50? Honestly, I felt kind of used in that moment. Let me call up some sucker to pay for my meal so I can go hang out with somebody else. If she told me up front, hey, let's grab dinner, I only have 45 minutes because I'm hanging out with somebody else, I wouldn't have driven 30 minutes over to Newport Beach to hang out with her then. So we both end up putting our cards down. The check comes back and she starts like grinning. She then says, you know what? I'm going to give you like a little date review. So first things first, you didn't open up my car door. And number 2, I've never paid for my own food. In my head, I'm laughing. And then on top of that, the waiter comes back and says, hey, your car didn't go through, it declined. This chick doesn't even have $22 or $23 to pay for her meal. So now I really feel like I dodged a bullet. This girl didn't even have money for dinner. So she was expecting me to pay for it so she can go hang out with other dudes. So after she said what she said to my face, I'm like, okay, I'm not opening up your car door. And number 2, you asked me out. So wouldn't it make sense for you to pay your half and I pay mine? She, of course, gets all defensive and says, fine, I'll call my own Uber home. You can leave. So I go, bet. See you later. So that wraps up my little date story. Hope y'all were entertained by it. Peace.
I was rejected by a guy in the most embarrassing and humiliating way possible. But still a part of me feels like this was my fault, so I need you guys to let me know what you think. One day, I matched with this guy on Bumble who was very, very handsome. He was a documentary filmmaker, curly brown hair, profile said 6'2". At the time, I was going through an identity crisis, so I just so happened to dye my hair back to brunette, although previous to that, I was blonde. I was on this dating app, and unfortunately, I hadn't updated any of my photos to reflect the way that I looked, although the photos that I did have were just like taken 2-3 months ago. It's not like my physical appearance looked that different, it's just that my hair color was very different. So me and this guy are literally talking for 2 days, we're hitting it off, the conversation is flowing back and forth, and most of the time, guys will just waste your time and not ask you out on a date, or if they ask you out on a date, they'll ask you to like go for a walk in the park. Days after us matching, we are on a date, I meet him for the first time, he's exiting his car, and he's walking towards me, and as he's walking towards me, I could tell he has like a confused look on his face. And I've been on many dates. I've never been accused of being a catfish. I've never had somebody disappointed when they saw me in real life. In fact, I've had guys tell me that they are surprised and that I actually look better in person, that I look better than in my photos. He gives me a hug. We walk to the restaurant. We sit down. We're ordering drinks, and he's just asking him random questions, trying to make small talk, and he is just being very, very odd and standoffish. And at one point during the date, he looks at me and he says, "You look a little different than on your photos." I was like, yeah, I actually dyed my hair. I went darker. I've been a brunette in the past. Like, this is actually close to my natural hair color. And I was just tired of the blonde because it was ruining my hair. And then he tells me that he thinks that that is actually misleading and that I should have updated my dating profile photos to match how my hair looks now. So then I ask him, well, would that have changed your opinion of me? Would that have made you not want to go out on a date? And he kind of laughs and shrugs it off and says, well, you know, I do like blondes. And that just like rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, we end up splitting some appetizers on a couple of drinks, and I end up leaving and thinking to myself, like, this is probably not going to go anywhere because that guy was super, super weird. I have no plans on texting this guy, but then I get a text from him the next evening. He sends me a whole paragraph that I never even asked for. In his paragraph, he tells me that he thinks that it's not right, that I misrepresented myself on my dating profile, and that if he's being completely 100% transparent, he is into blondes, that is his specific type, and he does not prefer brunettes. I never replied to him. I ended up blocking his number, but guys, there was a part of me that almost got my butt into my car and went to Sally Beauty Supply to get some bleach because I was so insecure at that point. When I look back on it though, did I make a mistake? Did I misrepresent myself? Did I catfish this guy? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Well, so relax. I said I just got here. It's not that serious. We got all night. Like, freaking relax. He finally gets to me. When I'm waiting outside the restaurant, he walks up to me. He greets me by going, "Rah!" I was like, ew. And also cringe. And then he hugs me as if I was the love of his life that he hasn't seen in 3 months. And I was like, okay, like, off to a terrible start. Dinner was the most awkward of my life. I went to the bathroom twice just to